Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
This is awesome!
Hello and welcome once again to Cheap Shot Entertainment. I am your host Luke and you are the Cheap Shot Nation, and in my boycotting of WWE Blood Money, also known as WWE Super Showdown, the one that was in Australia last year was in Saudi Arabia this year, and I boycotted the heck out of that show because it's just for the money. It's all about the money, as Vince McMahon would say. But in the absence of that show, I went all the way back to 2014, wound the time all the way back 5 years ago to May 29th, 2014. It was the first ever NXT TakeOver show, and it was aired on the WWE Network live to anyone who had the WWE Network. It was the second official show that the NXT brand had put on as a pay-per-view, and it was network exclusive, much like they are now. They don't really do pay-per-views, they just do network exclusive sort of pay-per-views, and if you've got the network you can go and watch those shows. This one is where it all began. Having just seen TakeOver 25, and personally I think that was better than All In, Double or Nothing rather. Having watched both shows, this was the answer. This was WWE's answer. Now the main roster's got to pick up massively, but this show was fantastic as the first ever NXT TakeOver event, and going all the way to TakeOver 25, that was fantastic as well. If you've got a network subscription, go and watch those shows. In the meantime, you can click the subscribe button, like the video, hit the notification bell to know when we upload new content to the channel. Join us on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook for more content on there that you don't necessarily see here on YouTube. And I'm going to take you through everything that happened during that show on the 29th of May 2014, pretty much exactly 5 years ago. This show featured some of WWE's top talent in the modern era: Sami Zayn, Tyler Breeze, Adam Rose, but he was on the main roster. You got Rusev in there as well, and of course Neville, Adrian Neville, also known as Pac now, although he's on the independent scene again. He was going against Tyson Kidd, who sadly has had to retire early in his career. He is the husband of Natalya, who was also in a championship match with Charlotte. You know, it's a who's who of people today. And going into the first match, which is Adam Rose versus Camacho, Adam Rose had his rosebuds, and who was in the rosebud party train? None other than the man Becky Lynch and Braun Strowman, as well as Simon Gotch in there. Didn't recognise any of the others, but yeah, really weird to see them sort of following Adam Rose round the ring and basically being secondary players at this point in time. I think if you looked, Alexa Bliss was in the tournament to crown a new women's champion in NXT after Paige was stripped of the championship, having won the Divas Championship on her first night in Raw. So that she was stripped of the championship, hence why we had the tournament, and hence why Charlotte and Natalya are going to fight for the vacant women's championship in this show. Anyway, Adam Rose versus Camacho. Adam Rose and Camacho kicked off the show with a short but interesting match. Basically, Rose started the match, typical theatrics, and Camacho took control early on in this match. Camacho cancelled or channeled rather his aggression into and strength into an onslaught onto Rose, who was grounded for most of the match. Camacho thwarted any attempt that Adam Rose had to come back. Notably, the Rosebloods were not at ringside during this match. It wasn't a lumberjack match, as it were. And Adam Rose started to do his own version of a Hulk up. I didn't really get into the Adam Rose thing. And they obviously tried it with No Way Jose, and that kind of stuff just doesn't work on the main roster. Just look at Adam Rose. He got his ass kicked by the Bunny, who got more screen time than Adam Rose when he was on the main show. Look at No Way Jose as he is now. He had the Rosebuds for his party, and he is now gunning for the 24/7 championship, which from what I've seen has been quite interesting. Anyway, back onto NXT TakeOver. Rose managed to catch Camacho for the finish with a double A spine buster and a back elbow to finish him with the party foul maneuver for the pin. 1, 2, 3. Adam Rose wins via pinfall over Camacho. Bit of a throwaway match here. We get to see the Rosebuds come out again. Becky Lynch, the man, and Simon Gotch, and also the monster amongst men, Braun Strowman. The fans got their own sort of highlight in this match with the party pooper chant to Camacho. The commentators' comment of the match was, "What goes on in the mind of Adam Rose?" I don't know. What does go on in the mind of Adam Rose? Maybe I'm better off outside the WWE. It shouldn't be any surprise that Camacho is aggressive, and William Regal, of course, was on the announce desk instead of being the general manager, who was John Bradshaw Layfield at the time. I think he was the commissioner type player in this one. But yeah, William Regal is on the announce desk with Byron Saxton. But yeah, interesting match. It was a decent match. It did what it needed to do. Wasn't very long. Bit of a throwaway match, but Adam Rose comes out on top, and it got the crowd going. Very energetic way to start the show, and we have a lot more to come in this show. So we move on to the Tag Team Championships next. The Ascension versus El Loco and El Local and Kalisto. Kalisto, of course, is on the main roster these days, fighting what's his name? Yeah, the other monster that no one really likes. Still can't think of his name. Anyway, who cares? Yeah, NXT Tag Team Champions, the Ascension, the longest reigning NXT Tag Team Champions in history. And I think that's still the case. Maybe being overtaken by the Undisputed Era, but up until that point, Ascension wrote their names in the history books as the unbeatable tag team. They then got drafted up to the main roster and continue to fall of man. Anyway, this match again was another throwaway match. It was very much a squash match for the Ascension. El Local and Kalisto got very little offense in this match, and what offense they did get in was swatted away by Connor and Victor. The champions isolated Kalisto in this one, working over the smaller competitors, making sure that they took away his aerial game and making sure he couldn't get a tag to El Local. The match spilled outside of the ring, with Kalisto making a comeback. Connor and Victor cut that off straight away, and pretty much this is where it ends. The Fall of Man overwhelmed Kalisto, and the Ascension are still your tag team champions in NXT 2014 NXT TakeOver for the 2014 TakeOver in May. Another throwaway match, bit of a squash match. Still very cool to see the Ascension actually winning a match. That was pretty cool. I always liked their entrance. I always liked their gimmick. When they went up to the main roster, they just turned them into LOD Light, and it just did not work. The Ascension win via pinfall, and hitting the Fall of Man. The caliber of competition for the Ascension at this point in time was not great. But they kept winning, so who cares? I think they did beat the Wyatt family, who were on the main roster at this point, for those championships. Solid match, as you would always expect from NXT. But the Ascension win by defeating another sort of B+ team, maybe. And they continued their historic reign over the tag team division in NXT. We next get the #1 contenders match between Sami Zayn and Tyler Breeze. Easily the match, the sleeper hit of the night, besides the championship match, which Zayn wrestled and outclassed Tyler Breeze for most of this match. The resident supermodel of NXT would work over Sami Zayn's neck, and showing really good aggression, this type of aggression we haven't seen from Tyler Breeze, who again was spoiled by the main roster. He is now back on NXT. He was at NXT 25, so I think that makes him the only wrestler to appear in the first one and the most recent one, which is pretty cool, apart from William Regal, but I don't think he appeared. I think he was just obviously behind the scenes. Both guys hit their respective finishing moves, their signatures, and this led to a massive back and forth between the two. Really good back and forth here, very much a stalemate right the way through this match, and it took a single opening to finish this match off. Near falls all over the place here. They're fighting on the outside, there's fighting in the ring. Zayn attempted a haluva kick, and Breeze ducked out of the way, and this would eventually lead to the finish. And the beauty shot was hit by Tyler Breeze. And there you go, your NXT Championship #1 contender way back at TakeOver 2014 is Tyler Breeze. He goes over Sami Zayn in this one via a pinfall after hitting the beauty shot. Really good. The audience was into this. That's why I favour the smaller crowds, the smaller venues for wrestling shows, especially here in the UK. Went to a big show, checked this one out. It was at Norwich, at Carrow Road, for a big show there. And the atmosphere was dead. There was no atmosphere because it didn't echo. You couldn't hear people shouting. The people were really far back. Anything you could think of just didn't work for me. Really, really good match. Definitely the main match of this card, apart from the NXT Championship match. Phenomenal, absolutely brilliant, played to the strength of both characters, both wrestlers in this one. Of course, Sami Zayn has gone up to the main roster. Fared a bit better than Tyler Breeze, but I still feel like they've spoiled what Sami Zayn was when he was on NXT. Tends to be the thing with Lars Sullivan. That's the name that I was looking for. Randomly, Lars Sullivan. That's who Kalisto is going against now in Lucha House Party. Yeah, anyway, yeah, like I say, phenomenal match. Really, really good match. If you watch one match on this card, this would be the match. So, next, get a segment with Rusev coming back from the main roster. Waving his Russian flag, even though he's billed from Belgium. We get to see the ravishing Russian Lana, and who comes out to meet him? The hyped one, Mojo Rawley, or the one that shouts at himself in the mirror as he is now on the main roster. This is this definitely has a sort of theme, doesn't it? Main roster versus NXT. Anyway, Mojo Rawley gets decimated by the Bulgarian brute, not Belgian, the Bulgarian brute, devastating him to the point where he hits the accolade, or locks in the accolade. Mojo Rawley taps out, he lets him go. Mojo Rawley's crawling up the ramp, and something we haven't seen for a long time, Rusev Crush. And so he goes and crushes Mojo Rawley, locking in the accolade again on the ramp, because obviously that's more devastating than doing it in the ring, because he's on metal. That's so much worse than doing it in the ring. Brilliant segment. I know it was short, but any time that you just promote Rusev as a brute, I'm all for it. Absolutely fantastic. Mojo Rawley, as annoying then as he is now, and never really got going on the main roster or in NXT. I think they tend to take them up a bit early these days. But we move on to the Women's Championship next. The final of the women's tournament also featured Bayley, Alexa Fox, Alexa Bliss and Alicia Fox. Yeah, I get those two mixed up, don't know why. Alexa Bliss, Bayley, Sasha Banks, and all those ladies were in this championship tournament, all beaten by at some point during that tournament by either Natalya or Charlotte, who were in this match. Incidentally, Charlotte would have her dad at ringside. Woo! Ric Flair, the kiss-stealing, wheeling-dealing, limousine-riding, plane-flying, wheeling-dealing son of a gun, 16-time champion Ric Flair. Woo! He is in Charlotte's corner, and the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. Bret Hart was in the corner of his niece, Natalya Neidhart. Several times during this match, both ladies were pouring their heart out. Hello, Big Boss. Just thought I'd use one of your lines. Yeah, absolute war between the Harts and the Flairs. The war has been raging on for years, and that is how the match was billed. And I love that. I love the fact that they played on this story. Charlotte and Natalya very evenly matched in this one. Natalya at one point hit a reverse abdominal stretch. Charlotte came back with a leg whip to the arena floor. So this one spilled out on the ramp as well, and on the outside. Charlotte climbed through the ropes and missed a moonsault. This is awesome. Chants after chants broke out after this little spot. Natalya locked in the sharpshooter, but Charlotte managed to counter that into the figure for leg lock. Both these ladies were very averse to very technically skilled, shall we say, in that style of wrestling, counters upon counters upon counters, and lots of leg locks and submission moves. Adding insult to injury, Charlotte locked in a sharpshooter on Natalya as well on the floor after they'd spilled out of the ring. During that figure 4 leg lock, as both ladies rolled out to the floor, Charlotte delivered the bow down, which is now called the natural selection, and the Queen has won the NXT Women's Championship for the first time back at TakeOver 2014. A valiant effort from Natalya, one of the most talented ladies on the roster. Doesn't get used much, and she should get used more because she can make the other women on the roster learn. She can help them learn and become better in the ring. Anyway, both ladies had mutual respect for each other, both embraced each other, both hugged each other's respective father and uncle, Bret Hart and Ric Flair, and all four embraced. All through this, Bret Hart just looked like Bret Hart and was completely pissed off all the way through. It's like, why did I take this? And we all know it was because of the money. But yeah, he looked constantly pissed. Not like drunk pissed, but like, I don't want to be here pissed. Anyway, yeah, so Charlotte wins the match. She takes home the NXT Women's Championship and celebrates in the ring with her father, who is now crying with pride over his daughter's win for the championship. Before the match, we did get to see Paige come out and cut a promo. She wanted to let each and every one of the ladies in the back know that the future lies with them now, and it seems strange that Paige would be saying that to Charlotte. Now Charlotte is what, 10 million time women's champion on Raw and SmackDown. And yeah, really good match. A clinic in women's wrestling. If you're a young lady who's wanting to learn how to wrestle or just wanting something to watch, this match was fantastic. Go and pick up some tips from these two. It was said at the beginning that Natalya does have an advantage. Of course, she's come from a wrestling family, been around wrestling, wanted to be a wrestler all her life. Charlotte came in a bit later, not learning how to perform the graps until later on in life. Incidentally, she didn't have a boob job in this show, and I think she looks a lot nicer without it. Just saying, Charlotte, just saying. Not that you're going to watch this, but you know, if you don't agree with me, leave me a comment down below. I'm all for the naturality, you know. I think I just made that work, but I like it. It's naturality. Yeah, really good. A+ match there, same as the Breeze versus Sami Zayn match. So we now go into the most anticipated match on the card. It is for the NXT Championship. It pits the champion, the new champion, won the crown, won the title at Arrival, which was officially the first pay-per-view on the WWE network for NXT, and he won that against Bo Dallas, I think, and this is his first championship defense, and it is against Tyson Kidd, someone who's already been on the main roster. I think he unified the tag team champions, not what, 2 years before, maybe, before this. And yeah, this is when Tyson Kidd was before. Obviously he was retired early due to problems with his back. And yeah, Miss Tyson Kidd. He was really good technical wrestler, and of course is the husband of Natalya, and both these guys are technically sound. Technically sound wrestling is how we start this match, with counter wrestling, and this is dominated early by Kidd, who was trained in Stu Hart's infamous dungeon. Stiff forearm from Tyson Kidd knocks the champion out onto the floor, and Kidd ties Neville in the tree of woe once they get back into the ring. Catches him with a brutal kick and taking back control of the match is Neville on Tyson Kidd. The challenger dives out of the ring over the top rope onto Neville and countered with so to continue to wear down the champion here. Neville mounted the comeback with some flying forearms and a flurry of moves on Tyson Kidd. Kidd catches the charged Neville with flying forearms, kicks, and he returns the favour, tying Kidd up in the ropes at this point, wearing down Tyson Kidd, wearing down the challenger with kicks to the midsection. The match would finish with Neville slowing down Kidd, hooking his ankle to prevent him from delivering a move off the top ropes. The champion caught Kidd with a beautiful head scissors takedown from that top rope, resulting in him hitting the red arrow for the finish, pin for the win. Adrian Neville is still your NXT champion, the old style belt with the big X down the middle, really cool belt that is as well. And NXT has found its new champion in Adrian Neville, and Adrian Neville continues to rule over the kingdom of NXT. Very game Tyson Kidd in this match. Definitely an A for this match. Not quite as good as the Charlotte Natalya match. Told a better story, having family history, and the Sami Zayn Tyler Breeze match was absolutely fantastic. This was really good, but I'd still take Tyler Breeze and Sami Zayn over this one. And that's it. Your winner in this match is Adrian Neville, still NXT champion, going into the next couple of weeks of NXT programming. All in all, a fantastic show for NXT here. First ever, the inaugural takeover. Like I say, we've now seen the NXT 25. This was your very first one in history, and I thought I'd go back and watch it for you, so I could tell you all about it and how much I enjoyed it, and to tell you to go and watch it if you've got the network. Anyway, we're gonna finish there. Really good show. Couldn't say a bad word about it. Maybe the first two matches bit squash-like. The Ascension actually winning was fantastic. Seeing Becky Lynch and Braun Strowman in the Rosebud train was ridiculous, and seeing Adam Rose actually being good, like showing that he's a good wrestler in this one. He's fallen down a lot since leaving WWE, to be fair. But yeah, really good show. Really good show, and it just continued, and we've not stopped, and it's just gotten better and better, and you just know whenever there's an NXT TakeOver event, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be worth watching, and NXT TakeOvers have not slowed down in the 5 years that they have been happening. And so that is everything that happened at NXT TakeOver, the very first NXT TakeOver on the 29th of May 2014. It was actually filmed in the Full Sail Arena at Full Sail University in Florida. They hadn't started travelling out and packing out massive venues just yet, so the smaller crowd made the venue really tight and intimidating and really cool, so you got into the show. Even watching it on TV, it was fantastic. The athleticism on show has not slowed down from NXT TakeOver to NXT TakeOver 25. The wrestlers have gotten better and better and better. They've gained more dominance really over the independent circuit, getting all sorts of independent wrestlers in. Ricochet and Aleister Black, two guys that come to mind most recently, going up to the main roster. Obviously Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa have both been massive players in NXT, and yeah, obviously on this show, Sami Zayn now on the main roster. Tyler Breeze gone up to the main roster, come back down to NXT, and I think that's a good move for Tyler Breeze. You've also had Adam Rose, who's gone up to the main roster. Camacho probably missed a beat with the main roster. I think he used to come out riding a bicycle, like a lowrider bicycle, in his tag team with Hunico, I think it was. Yeah, that wasn't a good gimmick. Yeah, Charlotte, Natalya, both on the main roster, both multiple time women's champions on the main roster, part of the women's revolution, which was arguably started by Paige, and of course Adrian Neville, who dominated 205 Live, had a match at SummerSlam with Stephen Amell as his tag team partner. And of course then we had Tyson Kidd, who sadly had to be unified tag team champion in the modern era, shall we say, post 2010. And I think actually it was in 2010 that happened, I believe. So yeah, really cool show. Lots of fun to be had watching this show, and I certainly did enjoy watching it. Great show, A+, fantastic, better than Arrival, which I've also watched as well previously. Might go back and watch that as well and give a comparison. But I thought this was a really cool way of showing my defiance over over WWE for taking another show to Saudi Arabia for money, basically. Yeah, I know they're business and it's all about money, but no. So yeah, really good show. You can follow us on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. Let us know what you thought of the show if you watched it recently, and tell us what you think of the wrestlers now compared to what they were then. You've heard what I had to say, let's hear what you have to say. Leave us a comment down below. You can join us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You can hit that subscribe button and that notification bell to know when we upload new content to the channel. I have been your host, Luke. You have been the Cheap Shot Nation. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time on Cheap Shot Entertainment. Goodbye.